Ladies and gentlemen, dreams are beautiful. They're exciting. They make you feel alive. But let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Dreams are cheap. Everybody has them. Dreams don't change your life. Work does. Execution does. Waking up early when you don't feel like it does. Staying up late perfecting your craft when nobody is watching does. We live in a world where people love to talk. They talk about what they're going to do, what they want to become, how big their future will be. But talking doesn't build businesses. Talking doesn't build skills. Talking doesn't build character. Action does. The difference between people who win and people who wish is simple. One group works while the other group waits. Stop romanticizing success. Success is not glamorous. It's lonely mornings, long nights, sacrifices, missed parties, and choosing growth over comfort again and again. It's doing the boring work consistently until it becomes extraordinary. People see the highlight reel, but they don't see the thousands of hours behind it. And listen, carefully, talent is overrated. There are incredibly talented people who never succeed because they don't have the discipline to show up every day. Meanwhile, there are average people who become unstoppable because they refuse to quit. Hard work is the ultimate unfair advantage because most people simply won't do it. You will fail. You will doubt yourself. People will question you. Some will laugh at you. Good. Let them. Use it as fuel. Every setback is feedback. Every loss is a lesson. Every mistake is data. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. And please, stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming where you were born, who supported you, who didn't support you, what you didn't have. Your story matters, but it cannot become your excuse. Responsibility is power. The moment you take ownership of your life is the moment everything starts to change. If you want your dreams to work, you have to outwork your excuses. You have to outwork your fears. You have to outwork the version of you that wants comfort over growth. Because comfort is dangerous, it feels safe, but it slowly steals your potential. So ask yourself, what are you doing today that your future self will thank you for? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because dreams don't come true someday. They are built day by day, habit by habit, action by action. Dreams feel powerful because they give you a picture of a better life, but by themselves they are nothing more than imagination. The real separation between people who admire success and people who achieve it is action. Wanting something badly is not the same as working for it daily. Many people fall in love with the idea of success, the recognition, the money, the freedom, but they don't fall in love with the process required to earn it. Action is what turns a vision into reality. And without it, even the biggest dreams slowly fade into frustration. Relentless action means showing up whether you feel motivated or not. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes depending on mood, environment, and circumstances. Discipline, however, creates movement even on the days you feel tired, discouraged, or distracted. It's choosing to practice when others are resting, to learn when others are scrolling, to push forward when progress feels invisible. Small actions repeated consistently compound over time into massive results, while inaction compounds into regret. Intentions alone can actually become dangerous because they create the illusion of progress. Telling people your plans, imagining your future, or consuming endless inspiration can trick your brain into feeling productive without doing anything difficult. Real progress happens when you step into discomfort, when you risk failure, embarrassment, and uncertainty. Action forces growth because it exposes weaknesses, teaches lessons, and builds resilience. Without that friction, there is no transformation. Relentless action also builds confidence, not the fake confidence that comes from positive thinking, but the grounded confidence that comes from proof. When you keep promises to yourself, complete difficult tasks, and push past resistance, you start trusting your own ability to handle challenges. That trust becomes momentum, and momentum makes bigger goals feel possible. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year of consistent effort. Dreams only start working when they are backed by daily behaviors aligned with them. If someone says they want success but their routine doesn't reflect it, the dream is just entertainment. But when actions match ambition, when effort becomes non-negotiable, the dream begins to take shape in the real world. Discipline and consistency are far more reliable than motivation and raw talent because they create results regardless of how you feel on any given day. Motivation is emotional. It rises when you watch something inspiring or when things are going well, and it disappears the moment life becomes difficult. If your progress depends on motivation, it will always be unstable. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision. It is the ability to act according to your goals instead of your mood. It means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel excited, confident, or ready. Consistency multiplies the power of discipline. One day of hard work can feel productive, but real change happens when effort becomes a daily standard. Small actions repeated over long periods reshape skills, habits, and identity. A person who practices 1 hour every day will outperform someone who practices 10 hours once in a while. Consistency removes the pressure of dramatic breakthroughs and replaces it with steady progress. Over time, those small improvements stack up until the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Talent often creates a false sense of security. Naturally gifted people may start ahead, but without discipline, they struggle to maintain growth. When challenges appear, they rely on ability instead of effort, and eventually they are surpassed by those who worked harder. Meanwhile, someone with average ability but extraordinary consistency keeps improving because they understand that mastery is built, not given. Discipline turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes because it eliminates the gaps where progress usually stops. There is also a psychological shift that happens when you become consistent. You stop negotiating with yourself. The task is no longer a question of whether you feel like doing it. It becomes part of who you are. This identity-based discipline is powerful because it reduces decision fatigue and excuses. When something is simply what you do every day, resistance weakens and focus strengthens. Discipline and consistency also prepare you for moments when opportunity appears. Success often comes suddenly, but only to those who have been quietly preparing for a long time. When the chance arrives, talent alone is not enough. It requires the skills, habits, and endurance built through consistent effort. People who rely only on bursts of motivation are rarely ready when it matters most. In the long run, discipline creates freedom. It builds the competence and confidence that allow you to handle bigger responsibilities and chase bigger goals. While motivation may spark the beginning of a journey, it is discipline and consistency that carry you to the destination, step by step, long after the excitement fades. Failure is often misunderstood as the opposite of success, when in reality it is part of the path leading to it. Every meaningful goal involves uncertainty, risk, and the possibility of things not going as planned. When you attempt something difficult, mistakes are inevitable because growth requires stepping beyond what you already know. Instead of viewing failure as proof of weakness, it should be seen as evidence that you are trying, experimenting, and pushing your limits. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not the ones who avoid failure, but the ones who learn how to use it. Each failure contains information. It reveals what didn't work, what needs improvement, and where your assumptions were wrong. Without these lessons, progress would be based on guesswork. Failure forces clarity because it confronts you with reality. It teaches humility, patience, and problem solving, qualities that cannot be developed through success alone. When something works immediately, you may celebrate, but when something fails, you are pushed to analyze, adapt, and return stronger. Fear of failure is what stops most people before they even begin. They worry about embarrassment, criticism, or disappointing themselves and others. This fear creates hesitation, and hesitation keeps dreams trapped in the realm of possibility instead of reality. Embracing failure removes that paralysis. When you accept that setbacks are part of the journey, you become more willing to take bold action. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Failure also builds resilience. Each time you recover from a setback, your tolerance for difficulty increases. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, and challenges that used to stop you become obstacles you know how to navigate. This resilience creates confidence because you no longer depend on everything going perfectly. You trust your ability to adapt and continue. There is also a deeper shift in perspective when failure is embraced. Instead of defining yourself by outcomes, you begin to define yourself by effort and growth. A failed attempt no longer means you are incapable. It simply means the process is still incomplete. This mindset keeps you moving forward rather than quitting prematurely. Many breakthroughs come only after repeated attempts that seemed unsuccessful at first. What appears to be failure is often preparation, building the skills and insight needed for eventual success. Those who give up too early miss the opportunity hidden inside difficulty, while those who persist transform setbacks into stepping stones. Accepting failure as the price of progress frees you from the need for perfection and replaces it with a commitment to continuous improvement. Making excuses is one of the easiest ways to protect your comfort while silently sabotaging your potential. When something doesn't go as planned, the instinct to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck can feel justified, but it keeps you powerless. As long as the cause of your situation is outside of you, the solution will also feel outside of your control. Taking full accountability changes that dynamic completely. It shifts your focus from what you cannot control to what you can improve, adjust, and take action on immediately. Accountability is not about self-blame or harsh judgment. It is about ownership. It means accepting that your choices, habits, and responses shape your direction more than your conditions do. Two people can face the same obstacles and produce entirely different outcomes because one chooses responsibility while the other chooses excuses. Responsibility creates movement because it forces you to ask better questions. What can I learn from this? What can I do differently? How can I become stronger so this doesn't stop me again? Excuses often sound reasonable, which is why they are so dangerous. Lack of time, lack of resources, lack of support, fear, past failures, these can all be real challenges, but they become barriers only when you let them define your limits. History is full of people who started with less, struggled more, and still found ways to move forward because they refused to surrender control of their story. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you start discovering creative solutions within imperfect ones. Taking accountability also builds trust in yourself. Every time you keep a promise, complete a task you said you would do, or face a difficult situation instead of avoiding it, you strengthen your self-respect. This inner trust becomes a foundation for confidence because you know you can rely on your own effort. Without accountability, confidence becomes fragile, dependent on external validation or easy circumstances. There is also freedom in responsibility. When you accept that your life is shaped by your actions, you no longer waste energy complaining or comparing. Your energy goes into building, improving, and progressing. Problems become projects instead of excuses. Setbacks become signals to adapt rather than reasons to quit. Accountability requires honesty, especially when it is uncomfortable. It asks you to confront habits that hold you back, distractions that steal your time, and fears that keep you playing small. But that honesty is what makes growth possible. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. When you stop making excuses and start making adjustments, momentum begins to replace stagnation, and progress becomes a direct result of the responsibility you choose to carry. Outworking yesterday's version of yourself is about committing to continuous self-improvement rather than competing with others. When you measure your progress against someone else, you lose focus because there will always be people ahead of you and people behind you. But when the competition is internal, every day becomes an opportunity to grow. The question shifts from, am I better than them, to am I better than I was yesterday? This mindset builds sustainable progress because it is based on effort and learning, not comparison. Improvement starts with awareness. You have to honestly evaluate your habits, your time, and your performance. What did you do well yesterday? Where did you waste energy? What could you do more efficiently today? Small adjustments create momentum. Waking up a little earlier, practicing a little longer, studying a little deeper, or pushing past the point where you usually stop. These incremental efforts separate ordinary progress from extraordinary transformation over time. Outworking your past self also requires breaking comfort patterns. Humans naturally repeat what feels familiar, even when it limits growth. To improve, you must deliberately choose actions that stretch your ability. This could mean tackling more difficult tasks, learning new skills, or facing situations that challenge your confidence. Growth lives outside routine comfort, and each time you step beyond it, your capacity expands. Consistency plays a crucial role in this process. One productive day does not change your life, but hundreds of slightly better days will. When improvement becomes a daily standard, you begin stacking wins that reinforce motivation and discipline. You also develop resilience because you learn to keep going even when progress feels slow or invisible. Over time, those small daily victories transform into a powerful sense of momentum. Another important part of outworking yesterday's version of yourself is reflection. Without reflection, effort can become repetitive instead of progressive. Taking time to review what you learned, what failed, and what succeeded ensures that each day builds on the previous one. This creates a cycle of growth where experience becomes wisdom and mistakes become guidance. Focusing on personal progress also protects your mindset from negativity. Comparison often leads to jealousy, discouragement, or arrogance, depending on the situation. Self-competition keeps your energy directed toward improvement rather than emotion. It encourages patience because you understand that meaningful change takes time, and it reinforces persistence because you see proof of your own development. When you consistently aim to be stronger, smarter, and more disciplined than you were before, success becomes a byproduct rather than a distant goal. The process itself becomes rewarding because you can see and feel the evolution happening. Each day becomes a step forward, and over months and years, those steps create a version of you that once felt impossible. Dreams are only powerful when they are backed by action, discipline, resilience, accountability, and daily self-improvement. Nothing changes until you do. If you truly want a different life, you must be willing to work for it when it's hard, when it's boring, and when nobody is applauding. Your future is not decided by what you wish for, but by what you do consistently. So stop waiting, start building, and prove to yourself that your dreams are worth the effort. Thank you.